Welcome to TrishRockTV and Energy Shift, changing energy, shifting perception. I'm Trish Rock, perception disruptor and intuitive success mentor. I've got an amazing guest here today, and I've known this lady for many, many years, and I'm so honored to have her as a friend. Kirsty Greenshields is a founder, director, and lead wellbeing facilitator of Resilient Leaders Foundation. It's a non-profit charitable Australian organisation which provides young people and their families with skills, resources, and structures to contribute to consciously evolving communities. Its centrepiece project is the Young Warrior Leadership Project for young people aged 11 to 16 years. And this is what Kirsty says about thriving right now. After leaving the Australian Army in 2002, I trained and practiced as a naturopath. Through this practice, I learned more and more about energy, metaphysics, and vibrational medicine. When my partner returned from war in Iraq in 2007 with PTSD, my training extended to emotional intelligence. Over the last 11 years, I've worked with hundreds of women, men, and young people to help them more consciously create the life they want and inspire others by expressing their own unique form of leadership. I'm a student of human dynamics and I love humanity. In 2006, I volunteered as a naturopath for the Hope for Health project in Arnhem Land. And I still consider it a highlight, if not of not only my professional career, but in my life. I live in Byron Bay hinterland with my husband and two daughters who we free school. And I feel very blessed to have been given the opportunities I have and to have consciously created my own life, which looks nothing like it did 11 years ago, which is only a short time away. Welcome, Kirsty. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I did a typo in that in there, but it was 2016 when I was part of the Hope for Health project, so I might have done a typo. Sorry about that.
Okay, no, that's fine. It's still amazing. You just do such amazing work in this world, and I know that all of that work has stemmed from your personal experiences. And as you grow, and now as your family grow, the way you serve the world grows as well, and it's just astounding what you do and what you achieve, and it's brilliant. So I just want to ask you, you have studied naturopathy, and I know that you're a big advocate of health. So what are your perspectives on dis-ease?
Wow. So to go back a little bit, as I said, my life looks nothing like it did 11 years ago. I grew up in a household where my dad did Tai Chi and my mum was interested in nutrition, and there were types of nutritional books and stuff around the house. So for me, I feel as though I had a grounding in that just kind of through osmosis as a child grows up, and was learning things without even realizing about the body and how the body heals itself, and Eastern philosophies and things like that, just through watching my parents. So when I actually decided that I was going to leave school, if I didn't join the army, then I was going to do like a human movements degree at university or something like that. So I was always really interested in health and the body. Yeah. When I then obviously joined the army and took my 9-year tangent, as I call it, which was essential for me to be where I am now.
Absolutely.
What I didn't realize, even at the time that I started studying, the first thing I started studying when I was leaving the army was massage. What I didn't realize was how incredible our body is at healing itself. So when our body is in a state of homeostasis, which is balance, it's at ease. Anytime that we're feeling pain, or we've got a cough, or we've got something on that's going on in our bodies, I now understand that to be a state of dis-ease. But dis-ease doesn't mean that our body is doing bad things, or it's doing the wrong thing. Actually, often dis-ease is there to give us a message. And it's there to give us a message that something's not necessarily working the way that it needs to work, and the body's trying its best to sort out this imbalance. And so I really look at dis-ease now as a way. Every single thing that happens is me communicating with my symptoms. And every single time that I'm experiencing something that's seems to be going wrong in my body, I'm looking at it and going, like, how can I bring my spirit and my body back into alignment?
And what's my body talking to me about? And that's the thing, isn't it? Our bodies do talk to us, and it'll start with a gentle tap.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm going to give you a cold because you need to rest for the day. And then, you know, it will just get louder and louder. And, you know, it's empowering to actually start listening to your body and changing the mindset, or changing what you're putting into your body and into your mind to create less of that and more ease. Yeah, I just think it's essential now, as we're moving forward, especially with this higher energy that we're all in, to have that awareness.
And also we're not necessarily taught in our Western societal conditioning that to embrace pain. We're taught to run away from it. And any little time that pain is there, there's always something for it. You know, there's some sort of pain relief that we can take to make things appear to be easier for us. But as we know, in the long run, that's not helpful, and it's not actually assisting us. It's just covering up, it's masking up the symptoms, and not dealing with the causal issue. And our body is always giving us the messages of the causal issue.
Absolutely. There's so many Band-Aid solutions out there. And the trouble with doing that is that then you also end up with other things happening to you because of those Band-Aids that you're taking. So it's really better to get to the gist of it. And that's a lot of self-inquiry. And I know that you also work with people with that. I also know that you really help women with money and intimacy, and you've written the most amazing book about, and it's called Women, Money and Intimacy. Why did you write that book?
I wrote that book actually as an inquiry into going deeper into my own disease. So when I started to learn more about the fact that I'm a conscious creator and I'm creating my reality and, you know, blah, 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 all of that stuff that we hear all the time, I started to question, okay, so, all right, if I'm a conscious creator, then my husband knows why he was hit by a bomb. Like, he understands that he was hit by a bomb because he needed to wake up to his priorities in life. Yeah. That wasn't the case for me. That wasn't my reality. So I actually want to explore why that incident happened for me in my life. And so the book actually started as an idea, and it started as me simply allowing myself to go into that space, into my center regularly, and journal and question. Throughout the process of that, I discovered the deeper beliefs about myself, and discovered why I actually created James being hit by a bomb and returning to me for myself as the conscious creator. So everything that I've included in that book, it's a very reflective book, and it offers opportunities for the person who's reading to come with me on a journey by me giving my own stories and sharing my own stories, and at the same time asking the reader the questions as to why this might be the case for them also.
Yeah, it's, you know, the self-inquiry is so important, isn't it? Because everything in our reality is created by us, and it's still very difficult or challenging for a lot of people to understand that and accept that. But our reality, what shows up for us, even that if that's in the form of other people, is something that we have created. So, you know, that the book will really help people uncover that. And, you know, that's part of what I try to do for people as well, and just get them out of the human drama of everything, and just like, well, what are you thinking right now, right? And what are you feeling right now? What questions can we ask? What self-inquiry can we ask to change this reality, or to even just to understand it so you can grow and evolve as the soul that you're here. So with your book, it also has an element about money and intimacy as well. Did this evolve as you were writing the book and as you were exploring your feelings, etc.?
Yeah, it really did. The element of money came up for me as I was exploring. So I learned about myself as a woman, as a healer, in an ability to be intimate in relationship, and through the process of it, naturally realized that okay, so when I'm not necessarily feeling abundant or in a state of affluence, this is related to similar aspects that create me not feeling like I'm receiving in a relationship.
Right.
So it's all about, the link is our ability as a woman to receive the magnificence of who we are, and to what, because as women, we are naturally amazing givers.
Yeah.
And we, especially, you know, mothers are a brilliant example. We give so much, and we're constantly giving so much, but if we're not conscious in that giving, and it is also something that I'm really passionate about, is that we've actually been taught as women to almost denigrate our relationship with our children in a way, and make our children a burden when we're speaking about them, which comes from a level of resentment that we're feeling because we're exhausted and we're not allowing ourselves to receive the gift of what we're giving to the world. So when we're doing that, we're not in that state of flow. We're not in that state of abundance and affluence. And therefore, there's feelings of lack of self-worth, and therefore that's going to impact, as a conscious creator, it's going to impact on our ability to receive affluence and flow and money.
Yeah, I've never heard it put that way before, like with the mothers feeling, you know, resentful. But it truly does happen, and it can also go the total opposite, where the woman is just totally self-sacrificed because she thinks that's the role she has to play, and then later on in life, when you know, the children aren't around, or the husband's not around, or whatever, it's like, well, who am I when I'm not giving all of myself to somebody else, right? So I just feel that that's really interesting how you put that. I haven't heard it put that way before. So yeah,
I feel as though it's a huge thing for us as women, and I feel that with the feminine rising, we are moving beyond that. But we've still got a long way to go, because we haven't necessarily, as a collective, we haven't necessarily got right to the cause of this. And you know, like I said, our ability to receive our magnificence as women, as humans, we are so massive. And I learned, you know, way back whenever it was, that the electromagnetic activity of the heart is 5,000 times stronger than that of the mind. So when I learned that, and then when I got these ideas about women and giving so much to their kids and stuff, I thought, you know, they're giving so much, but then there's still this closeness and this resentment that builds up. And so it's creating the block, but at the same time it's creating this massive of resentment that's coming from the heart as well. And when we can identify that, and when we can allow ourselves to really sit in it and release it, which comes, as we know, from just giving to ourselves, and it starts with like really small things, but just giving to ourselves, then we can start to open our heart and receive more than we have been previously.
And it breaks the cycle then for the generations following. It breaks the cycle, not only for the daughters and the sons, but, you know, the future relationships. It breaks the cycle, so that, you know, the girls are turning into women that receive, but the boys are also growing up knowing that the women don't have to self-sacrifice. They're not. It's a different role model. It's a different model that we're growing into, and it really does start with us. And what an exciting time to be alive and be a part of this change. And, you know, I kind of feel that, you know, every generation has changes, but it's happening so fast in this one. And then for our children, like my children in their 20s and 30s, you know, they've just had incredible lives, and their children, which, you know, your children are kind of in between that age, aren't they? They're like teenagers now. Yeah. And, you know, just the changes for them, and then with, you know, like my grandchildren are like under the age of 10. Another 2 generations, life is going to really show up so much differently. It's happening so much faster, and the work now is to really stay in that presence, and, you know, help other women to get in that presence too.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I love because James and I always say, when we deal with a pattern or a belief system within ourselves, that we're putting a full stop in it for our daughters and for generations to come. And but it's never actually too late, is it? Because, you know, you're a grandmother, but when you deal with a belief, you said your kids have got kids.
Yes. So
when you deal as a grandmother, you deal with a belief or a pattern that's unhelpful. You're putting a full stop in it for your kids and your grandkids. And I imagine that, you know, if I'm going to evolve to a certain level, then my children are going to evolve beyond me. And so if my children are going to be able to evolve beyond me, and I then allow them to teach me and show me how I can go further, then they're going to go further as well. And I think the amount of us that are waking up to that is helping these young people speed up that process. And that's why it's because that's why they're all here now. Like, they are courageous souls who are all here now.
Absolutely. It just gave me goosebumps. Yeah, it's so true. And so when you use the word, the terms feminine leadership, that kind of describes it, doesn't it? But it's not a term that everybody resonates with. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's I used to not resonate with it at all. Like, I used to hear it and go, oh. And you know.
Like, we're all in this earth. It's not just women on the earth; it's men as well. You know, I kind of feel that too. So.
You know, I grew up in a masculine-dominated environment. I left school and joined the army, so it was a very masculine environment, and that was the leadership. It was patriarchal, it was masculine, and that's how it was. And for me to demonstrate my worth, I needed to be better than the boys. I needed to be better than the men. And so that was all about doing. It was all about striving, competing, blah, blah, blah. All of that energy that's about, that is somewhat the misplaced warrior. The misguided warrior. So why I decided to finally embrace that term feminine leadership is because this is where we are going as a society, and as women and as men. The balance comes when we actually embrace our feminine side, and I explored more of that when I wrote the book. It actually helped me to come into more balance with that as well, because I thought about, we've lived in the bush now for basically since I met you, which was 8 or 9 years ago, but we left the army and then decided that we wanted to live on property. So we've always lived in the bush, and I've reconnected to nature hugely. And nature is the mother, and there is nothing about her that is competitive or needing to prove herself. Everything is in flow, everything is in balance, and growth is always there. But growth might sometimes look like death. And that is, to me, feminine leadership is allowing ourselves to move with our natural rhythms as a woman, and to also move with the natural rhythms of life, and realize when we're in a situation that doesn't necessarily feel great, instead of just pushing on like I would have done when I was in the army and exhausting myself to a point where I did and I got depression, allowing ourselves to stop, be still, go within into the darkness, because the feminine is the yin, and allow that balance to restabilize itself again.
And that goes for men and women, to restore that, because the pushing and the doing and the controlling, I guess, is just not the energy that we're in now. And so it's very out of alignment, and I think anyone who's in that energy is feeling the out of alignment of it. But you can be just, I don't say you can be just as, but it's very powerful leadership to be in that feminine, because it's not about control, it's about collaboration, it's about compassion, it's about kindness for yourself first, and then really strong empowered leadership coming from that. And I absolutely love all the leaders that are coming out around the world, men and women, that have these qualities. I think it's beautiful to watch, and you're creating a lot of these leaders as well in the programs that you run. And do you want to talk to us a little bit about the Young Warrior Project? I know that's about teens and kind of younger people, but it also affects you have an older group, like adults as well, don't you, in these programs, or is it just for the children?
The Young Warrior itself, and I just realized that for some reason you and I are talking on my daughter's account, Abigail Greenshields.
I saw that before, so
I don't even know how that's happened. She's not on this computer.
Last day yesterday.
I think that's kind of ironic, considering we're talking about young warriors.
Absolutely.
When James and I came up with our mission, and when he left the army, we decided that we wanted to make this work our vocation and our life. And we kind of went, all right, well, how are we going to do that? We've got no idea. So we sat down and we went, right, what is our vision? And our vision was essentially to provide young people with the skills, resources, and structures to create consciously evolving communities. And then we had no idea what we would do after that. And so where our mission and our vision was exactly what I was talking about, the feminine. We allowed it to evolve and move over the years, and we've come across lots of challenges in there. The Young Warrior Project is it is for children, but it's for, at the same time, it began just as for the young people. But what we discovered was, if we take the young people away for 3 or 4 days and we provide them with these concepts, and the concepts are all about their voice and self-respect, which leads to respect of others.
Yeah.
If we provide them with this training, but we send them back into the same environment that they came from, which may not necessarily have been supportive of a person speaking up.
Yeah.
You know, you think of when we were growing up, it was better for children to be seen and not heard.
That's
So
right.
if we send them back into that environment, in some cases it was actually leading to regression for these young people.
Yeah.
So what we did was we decided, okay, well, a key component of the program is now to provide a full day workshop with the parents of the young person who's currently on the camp, to teach them about these key concepts, so that when they all go home, they then have a common lexicon and they're starting from scratch together.
Yeah.
So that was our idea. So the parents come on the last day of the camp, and still at this point in time, the workshop is done with James and I, and then we teach them about the concepts that they've learnt, the kids have learned on the camp, and then the children come back and they're welcomed home, because the important part for us as well is the welcome home ceremony, when a warrior is welcomed back into the tribe. And our concept of a warrior is not the misguided warrior that we learned, that both of us having been in the military. It's very much based on what we've learned from Indigenous and ancient practices over the years. So it's a ritualized process. It's a rich process, and just after a few hours workshop, so many parents have said to us, I just never thought of these concepts in this way, and having these conversations with my kids in this way, and it changes the way that the family dynamic is,
which changes generationally as well. And I mean, obviously on some level the parents are agreeing that the kids go on the training with you, so they're supportive. You know, you're not kind of you haven't got parents that are in discord with it, right? They're agreeing that the children go through the project, so they're supportive of their children growing and expanding, and I think that's brilliant to involve them in the end, because it is changing everybody. It's actually it's interesting, isn't it? The willingness of the children or the young adults to want to go through this program is actually the conduit then for the parents to start expanding.
It is really, it really is. And you know, we've had men and women come on our men's and women's programs as a result of their children doing the Young Warrior. And you know, we've got a whole family, 3 kids and their 2 parents have been through all of our programs, and the first person to do one of our programs was their eldest son, who's now 20, and he came on one of the very first Young Warriors we did about 6 years ago. And he went home and he said to his dad, he said, oh, you know, Dad, I reckon you should do that Awakening the Warrior with James. And his dad said, why, mate? Is it for me or you? And he looked at him and he went, for both of us, Dad.
Wow, that's a pretty brave thing to say to your father, isn't it, right?
And he was like 13 or 14 at the time. So,
oh, what amazing work you're doing. I mean, that just changing lives one person at a time, right? But one family at a time for you guys.
And that is what it's all about, isn't it? Like we constantly, let's go back to us receiving the magnificence of who we are as a woman or a human. We know, we have no idea who we're touching just by being ourselves. And all we need to focus on is what's most important to me and what do I want. And if I'm doing that all the time, if I am looking out at the world and I'm going, right, how am I choosing what I want today and how am I impacting others in that? I'm making a massive difference in the world. But we so often discount it because we don't look at, just by being a mum and loving my kids, I'm changing the world.
Yeah, because there's all those other, you know, big scenarios. It's like, oh no, I need to build a school over in another country, or I need to build, you know, provide water for 1 million people. You know, me just being a mum and having a beautiful environment in my home is not making a difference. But yeah, you're right. It is. It's all those little things. Even just smiling at a stranger in the street, even just having a happy smile on your face as you walk through a shopping centre, changes energy. It changes people's lives to know that, you know, it gives people permission to show up as themselves too, and that changes lives. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I just think you're astounding, and I love every now and again I see you on social media talking about, you know, how your children are your biggest personal development program. Like, oh, my daughter's teaching me to expand again. And I love that you know, that you embrace that, because teenagers can be very challenging, but it's our reaction to it that is also the challenge. And I just love when I see those comments. I'm like, oh, how many people are going to read that and go, okay, I'm going to change my perspective on this now and not be so, you know, butting up against each other and creating more drama, when, like, I can react differently. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and so often we see the parent acting more like a child than the child is themselves, because the parent isn't prepared to deal with their own stuff. And that's cool, because we didn't necessarily have that role modeling by our parents when we grew up. But in this moment, I can choose something different, and I can choose it for my children. If I'm not going to choose it for me, then I'll choose it for my children.
Yeah. Oh.
Realizing, oh, that was actually for me and my own sanity.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh, I can tell you so many stories.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. So if people want to work with you, or if they have children that might want to work with you or with James, how can they do that?
You can have a look at we've got loads of stuff on the Resilient Leaders Foundation Facebook page. Also, our website is resilientleadersfoundation.org, or theyoungwarriorproject.org, or theyoungwarrior.org. So the Young Warrior is our centerpiece project, as I said, and our foundation, the non-profit organisation, is Resilient Leaders Foundation. So you can get into either of those ways, or Google me on you know, put my name into the Google engine and you'll find me somewhere.
Yeah, so I'll have all the links. So all the links are here for people to find you. And I definitely recommend, you know, hooking up with Kirsty on social media, because you'll really just learn all about what she does and the amazing work she does with people, and, you know, also for our earth and for your spirit. So thank you so much for being part of this program, Kirsty. I really appreciate it. And, you know, you're such an amazing person. I've said that a few times, but you really are. I don't know how else to describe you. And I've always just seen you as this light, and you just, and, you know, not everybody knows the journey that you have been on, and it hasn't always been that way, but you've made the effort to be the light now, and you explore the darkness, because we are both, You explore the darkness so that you can shine brighter. And I just think it's an absolute credit to you and to James and your beautiful girls, the lifestyle that you lead now. And you're truly living your truth, all four of you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And teaching other people to live their truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, thank you. And please get in touch with Kirsty if you've got children who might like to go through the Young Warrior program, and check out all the other things that Kirsty does. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week for another amazing episode. Bye for now.